9th chapter of Napoleon Hill's Think and Grow Rich, absolute bestseller, brilliant book. He talks about the power of creating a mastermind. Now, this is a circle of successful or highly driven people to surround yourself with in order to achieve your goal. In this chapter, he talks about the importance of surrounding yourself with people who are of high value and who are also aiming for the exact same goal, the exact same result that you are aiming for. Look, I read this book for the first time back in 2019, I believe, and back then I didn't really think so much about the mastermind. I was so caught up in I'm going to be rich and successful that the bit of my Clark stubbornness, it's this gene that I just thought, I can make this by myself. It doesn't matter if it says you can have other people to help you. I'm sure I can do it by myself. And that's where I went wrong, and that's why it took me another 3 years from reading that book until I actually started making a bit of money. Now, I thought that having this mastermind meant that I relied on other people to become successful, and I was totally wrong. The idea of a mastermind is having this close brotherhood, all with different skills, and when you come together, you all just build. And in the past 6 months, I've seen the immense power. Even more so, in the past 30 days, I've seen incredible growth and success from surrounding myself with these high-value guys. I'm lucky to have multiple 6 and 7 figure entrepreneurs around me, fitness coaches, YouTubers, sales guys, all in my very close network that I hang out with pretty much every day. Now imagine what your life would look like if this was who you hung out with. Imagine if the conversations you were having were all about growing business, creating content, building empires. Imagine what it would be like if your group chats on your phone were filled with recent wins, business PRs, winning boxing fights, booking villas in Bali for a month. But instead, your group chat is filled with memes, the latest football scores, gossiping about women, and endless invites to the pub. That's all your group chat consists of. Rather than having this uplifting group chat of business, mindset, health, you're having a group chat that's just bringing you down to this baseline level. And not to say that these aren't good friends of yours. I've got good friends who I hang out with, I go to the pub with when I'm back in England. But these aren't the guys that you can expect to grow with. If you are serious about getting in great shape, stacking racks, traveling the world, and becoming an absolute G, then you need to have this network, this mastermind, to get you there. And in my experience, I've found there are 2 ways to do this. The first one that I'll cover is more accessible, and the second one, although less accessible, is much more effective. Now, the first one, like I said, incredibly accessible. There is 0 legitimate reasons why you cannot start surrounding yourself with high-value people just using this strategy. Now, it's just putting yourselves in the environments that high-level people are in. Now, it seems obvious that when you are physically in the environment that high-level people are in, then you're going to connect, you're going to start conversations. It's the same idea of how a fisherman, not a fucking fisher then, it's a fisherman, is how he goes to the area where there's lots of fish. He's not going to go to an area where there's no fish and it's just rocks, because he's not an idiot, alright? A few ways I did this were upgrading my gym membership. I did this from a Pure Gym, which was like your bog standard, chain, cheap gym, all over the country. I was going there, but then I was like, nah, I want to start hanging out with more high-level people. I upgraded my gym to a David Lloyd's, which is a much more expensive one, much nicer one. It had more spa facilities, had a nicer cafe, and then after that I upgraded it to this very small boutique gym in the centre of York. And yes, I was paying probably more than triple the price of my old Pure Gym membership, but I was surrounded by wealthy, successful people. The car park at David Lloyd's was filled with Aston Martins, McLarens, Range Rovers, Jaguars. The car park at Pure Gym was filled with a Citroen Berlingo and a resident smackhead. Now you can see which environment wealthy, successful people are going to go to. Now, after working out, I would go to the cafes, I would go to eat lunch there, because I knew that that's where the wealthy, successful people were going to be. And the connections I made vastly outweighed the extra 60, 70 quid a month I was paying to go to that gym. Yes, it will cost you a little bit extra per month to hang out in these high value places. However, if you are genuinely serious about upgrading your network, hanging out with successful and wealthy people, then this is the step that you need to take. Now, the second, least accessible but most effective way to start hanging around with people that are high value, wealthy, successful is to buy yourself into their networks. And before you start saying, oh Bill, but I haven't got the money, I can't do that, blah blah blah, shut up and listen. You do not need to join a 10k mastermind in order to start hanging out in someone's network right away. You can start at the lower levels of this person's personal brand. Now, I will use an example to paint the picture for you. Now, Russell Brunson, very big name in the online marketing space, he costs about 10k to go for lunch with him and pick his brains. Now, that is an incredible price to say the value that you will get from those couple hours having lunch with Russell Brunson. But a lot of people, they don't have 10k, which is understandable. So what do? Do they just be like, I'll never network with him, I'll give up and find somewhere else? No, people buy his book, which is $9 or something like that. They buy his book, and then they're in his circle. And then they buy his low ticket course, maybe $300. And then they go to one of his in-person events. And then maybe they get the inner circle, and then maybe they're having lunch with him then. You build your way up depending on how much money you have to dedicate to this. If you're just starting out, you haven't got much online income, then yeah, you start with the book, and then you learn how to make more money, and then you get, oh, I'll get a course, and then you make more money, then you go to one of the live events, and then eventually you are hanging out with Russell Brunson, the guy who you wanted to network with. I use Russell as an example because he is someone that has product tiers, ways to buy into his network at every level. Everything from $9 to $25,000. These are all different entryways into his network. Now, for you watching this right now, you will have figures in mind that you want to network with. And the way to do this is get into their free or low paid things. If you don't have much money to dedicate to this, then look at their Facebook groups. Look at their low level membership sites. There are always ways to get into someone's network, either for zero cost or for very little cost. And if you have this thing in your mind where you're not willing to put a bit of money to get into someone's network, then they're not going to want you in their network. It's as simple as that. If you're not willing to invest in your network, your opportunities, your future, then they're not going to want to hang out with you. It's as simple as that. There's nothing wrong with buying your way into someone's network, because nowadays it is so easy, it's so accessible. Membership sites, courses, group coaching, Facebook groups, all of these sort of things. It's so easy and accessible with just a few click of your buttons and you're in someone's network. Now, once you pay into a network, you need to become valuable enough in order to be kept in that network. Whether you pay or not to get in there, this applies to any networking scenario. Once you've made your way into the network, if you're wanting to genuinely get value, then you need to add value. And this could come from your skills or your experience or your existing network. Look at Joe Rogan. A lot of his value comes from the conversations he's had with people, the people he knows and is connected with. So if you have a good network, then that's your value. If you are genuinely serious about growing your network, hanging out with millionaires, hanging out with high-level successful people that use these two ways, start by putting yourself in the environments that these guys are going to be in. Secondly, pay yourself into networks. Yes, it might seem like a shortcut, and it is. As long as you are able to add value once you are in that network, then you will be greatly valued and you will get so much out of it. I hope you've enjoyed this one, and I will see you soon.